All righty. Welcome to the party.
Okay,
All right, Ms. Richards, I'm here. Mr. Rensberger,
I guess.
here, Dr. Curtis,
Here.
Mr. Feldbaum, and I am here. We do have a quorum. Next agenda item, Dr. Garcia is absent. Next agenda item is the consent agenda. So we have the library board minutes, the declaration of excess withdrawn library materials, personnel changes, bill list, and grants. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Somewhere.
Either move or second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Oh, sorry.
But I do have a question. I heard in another room that our collection for the Friends of the Library books is different somehow. Is it the same or different? Is something changing?
Yes, so you'll recall we moved it to the second floor here.
Yes.
And we, that's open every hour that the main library is open. And that's where we're at now.
Okay, but I was asking about book collection. Is it still, are books still collected at every branch?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And whatever I
Oh,
heard,
I misunderstood your question, but yes, we're collected, we have books, new books at all locations.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, to accept the consent agenda. Are there any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed, and I vote aye. Director's report, Ms. Murphy.
So center has reopened. We did a ribbon cutting. Some of you were there, one of our highest ever social media posts. This area has up for you here in just a second, but that, had the farthest reach of non-followers ever, like almost everybody who saw it were people who did not follow our social media. And got a lot of really great comments, including somebody who said it's 10 hours away, but I might want to drive there and check it out. No, that's all right. We have the sound working, everything's working. Here we go.
Important stuff. It's a small meeting room. I spy new things for our children in the play area. Come on in, cameraman. New study room, there's 3 of them. Each one. More books. Fireplace. Still there. Let's go outside. Teleport. Now we're outside. Brand new story walk. Interesting literature. Big tour. Waterfall. Because the children yearn to be on the farm. Big tour. Natural plain. Hardcore. Come into the new center branch today.
Adam is our social media, what's his?
Specialist.
Specialist, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Last I heard, there were 33,000 views of that
Oh,
video
wow.
on Instagram alone.
Yeah. Yep, so
Wow.
really great job and a nice little preview of our space there too, so. Nice job. Adam, LaSalle, we heard this morning, we finally have a full permit for that project, so that's very exciting. Took some doing. We received bids on the Falcons building renovation. Our low bid was on our high end, so we received them last
Wednesday.
Wednesday. So we just want to make sure we're good with finances before we make a recommendation to all of you. So you'll see that next month. The bids are good for 60 days. Also in the area of communications, we've been using this Koyos grant for Google ad buys, and so that pays for our ads. So if you're searching something somewhat related to the library, you might get an ad for the library in that search. You know, those top ones, when you search Google, and those top ones are sponsored ads. Yeah. We had an amazing staff day. Lou Nani was our keynote speaker. He did a really great job. Lots of really good breakout sessions, and, you know, just it's a good time when all 200+ staff members are here at the main library. And I just gotta say again, we have the best darn library staff anywhere, so I'll just leave it simple like that.
All right. I do that one separately, right? Do I have a motion to accept the director's report?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Second, opposed? Director's report is accepted. Next is the patron engagement report.
Right. I have a couple for photos on page 1 of a program, or actually
Ryan, could
outreach.
you? speak
Sure.
up?
Yeah,
Thank you.
on page 1, there's a picture of Artbeat from August 9th. We saw a ton of people that day. And then the other photo is Studio 304 Showcase, which is, I think it's held twice a year, once a year, I think. It features artists who created artwork in Studio 304, and then they were able to display it. And then more top checkouts. Some of these are the same as last month, like the 2 teen titles and one of the adult titles, The Let Them Theory. Then on page 2, I wanted to point out that while Mainscape saw a decrease of 16%, there were increases at Francis, German, River Park, Lakeville, and Tut. For page 3, total circulation, there's a slight increase, 1%, but increases were seen at so many branches at Maine, Francis, German, River Park, Western, North Liberty, Lakeville, and Tut. Tut saw an increase of 43% in circulation. Wow. And then skipping ahead to, on page 4, there are the total in-house programs and attendance, but on page 5, I just did a little feature of different events, different locations that our outreach teams visited. And the goal is always to reach people who might not be coming to the library. And I just this is just a few of the places they visited. They did story time at St. Margaret's House. They took the book bike to the Cubs game. They did an art journaling program at the Dream Center. A back to school picnic at El Campito, a back to school event at Charles Black Center, college orientation fair at IUSB, and a resource health fair at Kroc Center. Did quite a bit last month. Thank you.
Next, the financial report from Ms. Stansler.
Since I have something more to do later, it's not gonna be a long report. So there are, as always, the fund reports with investments and the appropriations report are in your packet. So if there are any specific questions, please let me know. The only thing I will probably pull note is that, again, the engineering and architecture services is going to show it's over. And that is because we will be waiting for the Western bids, which the Western bonds that we will be doing on the 2nd. Once those come in, they will pay back the operating account. So that's gonna show over budget for right now. So if there's any questions, anything else specific, let me know. You know, other pieces that I will say regarding the financial report are the Crow audit is complete. We will do the exit interview on Thursday afternoon. Our president, Ruth Warren, is invited, along with Stephanie Murphy, but if there's any other board members that would like to attend, just let me know, and I'll just send you the invite. and it is virtual, so they did the whole audit virtual, and they never came in, so the exit interview is also virtual. We had, so far, we have had no additional questions nor comments regarding the, county's component unit audit. So right now, we don't necessarily, are not part of their exit interview, so we'll just wait until they send us the final report and we'll see if there's anything. I don't anticipate there's being anything. And then most people know that the Fed did, lower the rates, for, interest rates. And so, we'll just see where that brings us to, as the months come forward. But right now, our Trust Indiana rate is, 4.2738%. There any questions on that?
Questions? All right, could I have a motion to accept both the patron engagement report and the financial report?
So moved.
Been moved and seconded to approve these two reports. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Any unfinished business?
No.
New business? All right, here's your big performance.
Budget time already? So I'm actually gonna get this over here.
Yes, so this is a public. Oh,
Take two.
I thought, oh, someone's chastising. This is a public hearing on the 2026 budget, and I'm officially opening the public hearing.
Try something real quick, so I can answer quick. So, this is the opening of the 2026 budget hearing. I want to thank the board for being here, giving me the opportunity to present. I want to start off, where we should always start off, and that is with our mission, and our vision. So our mission is to connect members of our diverse community to learning, resources, culture, and each other. And then our vision, we connect members of our diverse community to learning, resources, culture, and each other. So when I start the budget process, these two things are always on my mind as we're going through that. Obviously, the funds of the library fund everything that we do at the library, so we always have to keep our mission and our vision at the forefront. All right, now the numbers. Okay, so here's a look at how the library is funded. You can see that the primary source of our funds obviously is property taxes. And so 84.1% of what we bring in is property tax dollars. Our next are intergovernmental funds, which is basically county income tax, local income tax, there's some vehicle taxes. So when you do tire fees and things like that, we get a percentage of that. And then any other services and charges, so fines, fees, when we do rent out the rooms, those types of things are in there, and then other, that could be kind of anything other. And so this is where we land with our estimated operating funds revenues for 2026 at 23,346,114. And that is for our operating account. And here's a look at, there you go, yeah. So this is kind of an overall look at the library funds overall. So this is the difference between 2025 and 2026. And what I really kind of want to point out to you is that our operating funds, in total, we go over 3.58%, which is pretty close to the 4%. We have the growth quotient, which is capped at 4%. Even though it is calculated off of a 6-year average, and that 6-year average is about 5.58%. So the state has grown more than what they are allowing us to grow our budget. And so we have a cap at, it averages out 3.58, but it is at 4%. And so we have to take those numbers and, spread them out between the 4 funds that we have that, are funded by by property tax dollars. So the one thing you'll probably notice that rainy day says that it's red and it's negative. It just means that, last year we budgeted, 2.7 million. This year we're budgeting 500,000, and that's because I'm able to use more LERF this year. LERF is Library Improvement Reserve Fund. We can only use that for capital projects. And so we want to actually use that as much as possible and hold our rainy day for what it truly is, for a rainy day. And so that's why that number, is a kind of a big jump. We also have, at the top, you'll see self-insurance fund. A couple of years ago, we, created a self-insurance reserve fund so that we were able to move more dollars and hold them, somewhat like a rainy day, and move those over, and use those funds, year over year. And if we don't spend them all, we're able to still, spend off of those, funds. And then you'll see our contractual fund, which last year we budgeted for it, but we didn't spend it. So we are still able to use that, and we will be using that for, building projects for Western. And then, as you can see at the bottom, our adopted tax levy, and exactly what our tax rate is. So 0.2892, and, for our bonds, it's 0.0261. Okay, so how do I do the budget every year? The things that I think about when we're doing the budget to make sure that we're capturing everything we possibly can. We do an expenditure analysis. We take the full year before and 6 months into the current year, and, take those and look and see how much we spent out of that time period. And we look and see where we can balance those, what lines we need to move, that don't make sense. We're not gonna spend as much here, or this year we're gonna spend more. We really do an analysis of that. We also do, the departments also have a process where they request, what they would like for, to spend for the next year. That is in the budget process. And we move that in there, we look at that and then, move that forward so that I can see in comparison of what they've actually spent. The next thing is I anticipate our capital expenditures. So what do we need to do with the buildings? What do we need to do with furniture? What do we need to do with equipment? And where is that impact? And where am I gonna spend it out of? Am I gonna spend it out of LERF? Am I gonna spend it out of rainy day? Am I gonna spend it out of operating? Or do we need to do something else? We also look at our upcoming strategic initiatives. So is it a 2-year, 3-year, where are we gonna be? Where can I push that in the budget closer to the end of the year, closer into the next year, and just kind of see where that falls into the budget. And then we also work with Kara Yeomans, and we look at the personnel budget in this budget process and try to figure out how much do we need to do any increases or, merit in that time frame. And then we also, forecast for our bond expenses, as we do need to pay back our bonds. So. We have had revenue challenges over, this year going into 2026. So what are our challenges? Again, our growth is capped at 4%, even though the state has grown at 5.85%. So we are, capped at that 4%. So how do we grow and how do we, use those revenues? And there we have a slightly smaller window to be able to use those. The circuit breaker, SB1, SDA1, as we're calling it, those changes, I talked about this in a couple meetings before, that our circuit breaker is much larger than it has been in previous years. Actually, since I've been here, it had been going down, and so now it's gone up 1.3%. Circuit breaker means that I get less revenue, to spend. So it has gone, that number has changed by 1.3 million. And so that is a challenge for us to figure out how can we spend with, the inflation and looking at, the numbers that we have. And it was, what we are at the same levels we were from 2 years ago. So that has been a revenue challenge. This is kind of, pretty close to where we have been after circuit breaker. Sorry, on the wrong click. This is kind of where we have been at, after circuit breaker. And as you can see, 2024 to 2026, those numbers are almost the same.
It's $800,000 less, so right?
Yes.
Yes,
That's not almost, 800,000 is not almost the same.
well, just from the chart, I think one of these numbers is not quite where it's supposed to be, but
Oh,
they are. Yes, and the chart doesn't look that way. So we have some expenditure challenges also, capital project constraints, obviously our Western and our LaSalle projects. We are capped at 6.35 million for those projects, so making sure that, we don't spend over our funding limit for those two projects. Separately, so as Stephanie mentioned, we are gonna be looking at, Western now that we have the bids, so that we can keep it under those numbers and still, have a great building. Market volatility, obviously, we have constraints with tariffs, material costs, supply issues. So we're looking at that as we're doing the budget, seeing where we can move things, what contracts we can change, things like that. Escalating digital resource costs, we've been looking at our databases. Does it make sense to have a database with a certain amount of people using it? So we've been looking at those contracts also. And we always look at cost of living, where inflation is moving within the library district. And then, so our proposed budget highlights, this is the breakdown of where the operating budget falls, percentage wise. We always try to keep the salary, wages and benefits within 62 to 65%. Services are at 16%. One of the other things that we keep from a statewide perspective is our materials need to be at least 8%. And so we are well above that, but keeping that in mind, making sure that we are looking at changes as we need to. So, are there any other specific questions regarding the budget? You all have the full budget document that is on the DLGF website. So are there any other questions that you have specific?
Well, Anjana, I would just like to remind everyone our budget, if you'd have to look between two slides, but our budget is our permission to spend.
Yes,
It is quite a bit higher than our revenue,
yes.
but that allows us to spend some of our savings when we want to. The circuit breaker, you budget as though you didn't have a circuit breaker, and then the circuit breaker reduces your revenue. So if you're wondering about the difference between the budget and estimated revenues, it's in that circuit breaker.
We work internally with a working budget, so we
Based
have
on
the real budget.
expected revenue.
And then we have a working budget that takes that into consideration. Yes,
you mentioned that I think you said the circuit breaker increased by 1.3 million.
yes.
So what is the total circuit breaker?
The total circuit breaker is 5.8. Find the exact number. Circuit breaker is 5,864,800.
And that's an estimate for twenty
That's an estimate.
26. We'll know probably mid-year 2026 what the number actually is.
But
It usually
more.
comes in around June.
Right, for
Sometimes
less.
more.
We've had years, like I said, I've been here 3 years, so but this is the fourth budget cycle. I think the first 2 or 3 years, it actually went down. So we were able to get more money out of that property tax dollar versus less money. So
And it seems reasonable that the 1.3 million increase in circuit breakers directly related to that Senate Bill 1.
And,
yes,
okay, and what portion of our revenues for 2026 is from the county option income tax that's gonna go away in 2028 unless they reauthorize it, and put us
so
in there?
About 2 million.
Yeah, it's about 2 million. It is in. It is in this intergovernment tax. It is in that line. So that number that is already 2,789,000 could drop to 789. Or somewhere thereabout. We don't know that number yet, but as Stephanie said, it's a potential $2 million difference in that line.
And that will be determined in 2027. The council has to take action by July of 2027 on local income tax. So don't fully understand how that process is gonna work yet. The DLGF hasn't put out guidance for anybody yet on how that will work, so TBD.
Any other questions? Since this is a public hearing, we'll now have the opportunity for any public comments on the budget. Any public comments? All right, in that case, then I will close the public hearing on the budget. Thank you, Ms. Chancellor, for all your work on that. It's a lot. That's a lot. All right, next on the agenda is Ms. O'Brien, reservable spaces.
We are recommending some substantial updates to our reservable space policy this year. We are recommending revisions to existing sections, introducing new sections, and then I've included a summary of all of those revisions and the new sections that are added, with an explanation of those sections' purposes. And I've also included the policy itself, the revised policy. And there's a lot here, so I don't want to go line by line. If you have any questions, I'm just gonna open up to questions.
So we had a reservable spaces policy, and then we had a procedure. And it was complicated for staff and patrons to go between the two and what's what. And last year you approved both of those things because both include fees and et cetera, et cetera. So Lisa combined them, Myra reviewed them.
Are there any significant changes in the
Well,
revisions we should be aware of?
there are a lot of changes. I wouldn't say they are significant or dramatic. I don't think that if this were approved, that it would change the experience for patrons. They're very small, but it's the quantity. It's a lot of little changes.
There's no changes to fees for the rooms,
Yeah.
process for booking.
The big stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the the new reservable space?
I move to approve.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any questions? All right. All in favor of approving the policy, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. The policy is approved. Thank you, Ms. O'Brien. Elevator repairs, Ms. Mann.
And if I might remind you, I mentioned last year or last month, the jack that we had just discovered. She has the results of that.
And I sometimes feel like my manager of facilities, that sometimes I think that I'm never kind of.
Karen, can you see those?
Oh, sorry. I sometimes feel like I'm never delivering the best of news. One of the public elevators in the main building for patrons had a failure of the jack system. We looked into it. It's located underground. The elevator will not operate until it is replaced. The replacement must be completed before the previously approved elevator renovations can begin. Schindler is the elevator operator vendor that we use. Pretty much we're limited to using Schindler because it's Schindler parts and Schindler elevator. The overall project timeline could be up to around 3 weeks. Due to the extreme noise of industrial drilling and having an unsafe construction area, For part of this project, we are asking that the library be closed for a short period of time. Estimated days that the library will need to be closed is approximately 3 to 4 days. The estimated days that the CLC side of the library will need to be closed will probably only be 1 day. We'll upgrade the network at the same time we're closed for the elevator, so that's a good thing. We're eliminating having to be closed 2 separate times, hopefully, for the elevator and the network upgrade. We are asking for approval not to exceed $141,000 for this project and for the closing as necessary.
Is there a warranty on the elevator?
Oh, no, this is a 30-year part.
It's a 30-year warranty.
It's a 30-year part. So they didn't even look at it when they looked at the rest of the elevator, so that those repairs we got approved a few months ago, they don't typically look at the jack because it's a 30-year part.
And it's way past 30.
So
These
we're,
are ancient.
we're well past 30, yeah. And they have to get a jackhammer down there and it's a whole thing, but we think we can keep this side of the building open. We are have a planned network upgrade. That's why we would need to close this side for the 1 day. We'll be probably without internet for 1 day here at Maine, with
We don't-
some impact to the branches, but we'll keep the branches open anyway.
There a date you guys have planned?
Depending on the elevator company.
There's just no notice now.
So they're about 8 to 10 weeks out. So we've been down to one public elevator on the main side for a month now, and we're looking at another 8 to 10 weeks. Is that right?
Is there any possibility that the 3 to 4 days could overlap a time when you would otherwise be closed?
My dream is this would happen on Martin Luther King Day. Because we have at least 1 day where we're gonna be closed anyways. And I think it's consecutive days according to Schindler, so it's just gonna have to be 3 days.
Okay.
It's not ideal.
No.
Oh.
I think Alan.
So in addition to this charge, I know we're gonna renovate, how much are we spending to renovate this same elevator?
Total,
168 is for that part, sorry.
So it's 168 plus 140, so I'm sure you all looked at this, but you mentioned Schindler elevator, Schindler Park, Schindler, whatever. Did we consider how much more would be if we actually replace the elevator? I mean, is that like just crazily?
Go talk to them about
Probably
that.
about $500,000 or something. And then it's very, very expensive to.
So 500,000, but is Schindler still considered to be? Because if we were gonna install a new elevator today. Because the way you said Schindler Park, Schindler this, like you were being held captive by Schindler.
Well, it allows purchasing. It allows purchasing outside of the bid process when you have a proprietary specific.
It's kind of like when you buy a Ford car and you're stuck with Ford agreements for.
So if we went to Otis, they would still need to do Schindler parts to repair.
Well, no, but if you replace it all together with a.
No, I did ask, and do I remember all of Joe's reasons why that didn't make sense? No, but
I'm sure yeah, okay.
he did look into it as an option. And I don't remember why. But I trust Joe.
Well, one of the reasons is we've already, since I've been in this position, we have already spent a tremendous amount of money fixing the control panel, fixing the hydraulics. Like, it's like we've already replaced the engine and
Half of it.
transmission in this cupboard, so they're brand new. So to totally replace the elevators would be tossing all that money out there.
Okay, just whatever.
Thank you, Karen.
Any other questions? All right, could I have a motion to approve the elevator repairs?
So
Second. Is that a nod for a second or no? Search that. I know, I say that. All right, all in favor to approve the elevator repairs, say aye. Aye. Oppose? All right, motion carries. There you go.
I will say, not a fun way to spend the money.
No, no. And now you're up with the change order.
Oh, really quick, last change order for Sender, for floor box covers and emergency lights, an addition of $7,559.
Questions?
Seems like a present after the last meeting.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the change order?
I'll make a motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor of approving the change order, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Other business? All right, then we move on to news and education. Lindsay Taylor, storyteller librarian.
So adding a storytelling librarian was one of our strategic projects this year, and Lindsay's new to the role this year, so she's gonna tell you a little bit about what she did.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Lindsay. I'm happy to be here today with you to talk a little bit about my position as the storytelling librarian. What I've been up to this past year and what I have planned going forward.
Never point or there.
Okay, awesome. So at the end of last year, I've been with SJCPL for a couple years now, hired in 2022. At the end of last year, I was moved up full-time into the local and family history department as the storytelling librarian, which was a brand new, somewhat enigmatic position with a lot of potential and opportunity for exciting projects. So that's where you find me now. And I put it up here, but you might be asking yourself, so what does the storytelling librarian actually do? I haven't asked myself this whole year. But the storytelling librarian connects the community to its roots and makes local history accessible, meaningful, and memorable through storytelling in a variety of formats. So I'll kind of go through a few of those formats that I've experimented with this year. So at the beginning of the year, I knew I needed to set some goals for myself as a baseline to establish what the storytelling librarian could accomplish, sorry. So the first one, I established a goal to bring a digital presence for storytelling content, develop a signature storytelling program, and create eye-catching in-house displays. So all of these goals kind of touch on some of SJCPL's core competencies of building a stronger community, sparking a curiosity to learn, and expanding access, which is the strategic priority for 2025 that my role falls into. So after I made those goals, I realized that I needed to build a structure that I could apply to them, not just to ensure consistency, but to create the foundation for what I'm hoping to achieve through the position as time goes on. So the rubric is the acronym BRIDGE. And so it's B, bring something from the past. R, reflect on the present. I, identify the link. D, dive into the experience. G, galvanize the audience. And E, end with optimism. So I've been applying this rubric to all of my work this past year, and especially to those goals, which I will get into now. So my first goal for establishing a digital presence for storytelling content has been going really well. Every month I choose a topic to research using library resources and archival materials. So these articles include a write-up, a reading list, photos and images, a reference list, and links back to our digital collections and department assets. So they're sent out as part of the local family history newsletter, which goes out, I think, to an average of 13,025 patrons a month. And we're getting increased subscriptions to that as well, with an increase unique clicks, about an average of 297 per month, people clicking on that link to take them to the article. And I've also been experimenting with some fun graphics. My background is graphic design, so I've been playing around with some digital collages, having fun
bringing the artistic element to those. Okay, and my next goal is to create a signature storytelling program. And this is continuing to develop. So in the spring, I adopted the story exchange program, which had been previously created by MAC and Community Services. This is a program where patrons can gather to tell stories on a pre-selected theme. Some of the things we've had, moments in time, lessons learned, and classes in session. And I've also been putting together some resources, kind of on the art and craft of storytelling so that the group can learn about that together. And then my next goal, my third goal for this year was to kind of step up the displays that we have in local and family history. So, and that's had great success. I've been regularly changing out the display case upstairs, to include photos from Michiana Memory, related book titles, you can see sitting up on top of the case there, and QR codes that actually link out to our digital collections and oral histories. So these displays, the idea behind them is to expand access to our materials, get people to look at them as they walk into the department. And actually on several occasions, patrons have stopped to look at the case and they notice that their relative is in one of the photos. They come and that's my cousin in that picture. And then, yeah, as this year is coming to a close, I'm already thinking ahead to 2026. So my colleague Ellen Anderson and Local Family History, we've been putting together plans for next year's 250th celebrations. We've already been contacting guest speakers, planning programs, and thinking of experiences to help SJCPL engage with patrons on 250 years of American history. And then I also want to touch on the oral history project that I'm planning for the Western branch, because there's such a wealth of memories and personal histories that are linked back to the ZV Falcons building and the west side of South Bend. I plan to build out that infrastructure for gathering the stories and featuring them in a cool oral history listening station. So that's on the way. Last one here. Yeah, I've been up to a bunch of other stuff this year, so I just threw that on here. But yeah, I've really been spending this past year building the foundation for this role, experimenting and seeing where my ideas take me. So I'm really thrilled to get to represent SJCPL with this position. I can't wait to keep transforming at a personal and professional level as I continue to try new things. So yeah, that's all I have, but thank you so much. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Yeah.
Questions?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
MLIS used to be just MLS. Is that a change in the curriculum, I guess?
Yeah, Master
or
of
the
Library
degree.
and Information Science. So it's the same as library science plus, I think a lot of our digital
I see.
aspects now. So
Thanks.
And congratulations on that.
thank you. Yes, a few more months and I'll be done.
Other questions?
Just like to say, I really enjoyed your both digital and the in-person displays. I'm a huge history nut, so I really enjoyed them.
Love when people stop in to see us.
So I'm curious about the storytelling 101. My husband and I went to one of the sessions. We probably will come back at some point, but the scheduling sometimes doesn't work. But my question is there a core group that's returning, or are they all like different every time?
We do have a core group of a handful of people that have been coming to the last couple sessions. So that is something we talked about. We want to get the word out more, trying to connect with Adam. He makes great content, so we want to see if we can push this program out there to get more.
But I mean, I think it's good for community building to have people come back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they form a thought.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much, Lindsay. Next agenda item is hearing of visitors. At regular meetings, the public is invited to address the board during the public comment period of the agenda. Individuals may only speak once for 3 minutes during this time. Each individual must use their own time. It cannot be given to another speaker. If you wish to give public comment, you must sign in at the beginning of the meeting. When your name is called, speakers may approach the podium. They shall properly identify themselves by stating their name and address for the record. Personnel issues are not to be addressed during open sessions of the library board. Please be respectful during the comment period. This includes not interrupting others and ending your comments when your time is up. Since the board acts as a unified body and not as individual members, the board listens but does not respond to public comment. Do we have anyone signed up?
No, no one's on.
No, I should have asked that first and I. Thank you. So the next library board meeting day is Monday, October 20th here. And I would love to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.